G'day, Rockhound here! Out of the blue, Embark Studios have dropped a phenomenal trailer in the lead up to the finals closed beta, which is an upcoming 2-week long playtest for the game running from March 7th to 21st. This follows the game's closed alpha, which was held at the end of September, so we're about to see what the developers have added and revised in the game since our first impressions of it 5 months ago. For those of you unfamiliar with the game, the finals is a free-to-play game show themed round-based 3v3v3v3 first-person tournament-style arena shooter. Try saying that 3 times quickly.
The Finals is a free-to-play game show themed round-based 3v3v3v3 first-person tournament-style arena shooter. The Finals is a free-to-play game show themed round-based 3v3v3v3 first-person tournament-style arena shooter. The Finals is a free-to-play game show themed round-based 3v3v3v3 first-person tournament-style arena shooter.
In the game, destruction of the map plays as much of a role as gunplay does. The game will eventually be available for PC, PS5, Xbox X and S. The closed beta playtest will be on PC only though, and it will be limited in size as it will run on servers in North America, Europe and East Asia. Players outside these regions are unfortunately not eligible to join this playtest unless you're part of the invited media and content creators. While it will be a playtest that is limited in numbers, it will not be under NDA, and if you get into the playtest, Embark are welcoming you to make content and share gameplay footage, which I will definitely be doing, so hit that subscribe button. Footage from last year's closed alpha remains under NDA, so I can't share that with you, unfortunately. These are the minimum and recommended PC specs provided by Embark for the closed beta, so you might like to pause the video to go through them in your own time. Note that the game also includes RTX ray tracing. Okay, let's dive right into the trailer. The fast-paced and chaotic trailer, which is set in Seoul, Korea, which is where the new map is, includes an astonishing 193 cuts. I know because I counted all of them, which equals almost 2 per second in a trailer that comes in just short of 2 minutes long. Fortunately, I've gone through all of those scenes frame by frame to find all the gems that you might have missed so you don't have to. The trailer appears to be essentially made up of 3 parts: an intro, a middle section which is a full action sequence, and an outro that includes a showcase of some features. I'll let you know where we are as we progress through it. Alright, here we go. The trailer's intro section opens with the 1980s arcade-style insert coin title that we saw in the previous trailer. We then have a simple shot of a character's foot beautifully lit by what is a blue jump pad beneath it. We jump to a shot of our character carrying a cash box, with the purpose of the game being for your team to get these cash boxes from vaults that you can unlock and then transport them to what Embark call a cash out station, where they can be deposited so your team can score. It's a straightforward but not easy goal. Personally, I think the term cash out station is too much of a mouthful for a call out to your team, so I'm just going to call them the station from now on. Note the hospital gurney here. Much of this new map is actually set in a hospital, it appears, and the blue light below us is the jump pad I mentioned earlier, which is a new addition to the game since the alpha. As our character begins to launch off the jump pad, we can see some of the map-wide destruction that is a key element of the game through the window to our left as parts of the building plummet to the streets below. We bust through the glass above us to reveal that we were standing in a sky bridge between buildings with cars in the streets stories below us. We jump to an opponent's view of the same action as they traverse between buildings using a fixed zip line. Here you can see the arena surround that shows the boundary of the map, advertising from the in-game sponsors, suspended boxes that contain goo that can be used as a defensive element like this goo gun we've seen in the alpha. We also get our first great view of the Seoul skyline. The area's exterior to the arena looked really well polished in the trailer. The sky bridge then explodes at the ends and starts to collapse as the character that hit the jump pad is launched away from the bridge, potentially escaping. We'll actually see the build up to this sequence later in the trailer. First though, this is a significant ramp up in the level of destruction from what we saw in the closed alpha version of the game. This feels more like a well-balanced version of Battlefield 4's Levolution from Embark Studios, which is not really a surprise considering more than 80 of Embark's 250 staff came from DICE in the first place. This is the sort of destruction I was hoping to see for the closed beta. A level up from what we saw in the alpha, which can clearly alter the map significantly, but not so much that it just dominates the outcome of the game. Great stuff, Embark. Here we see the Embark and Nexon logos, with Nexon being the majority shareholder of Embark, but Embark both developing and publishing their own games. Onto a new version of the Finals logo, which has a real 1980s feel to it and looks a bit like the Village Roadshow logo from Australia. We then jump to a cool shot in the original Old Town Monaco map of a Finals branded rocket flying through the air. It hits a player carrying a cash box. They also seem to have a leg pouch which has a sponsor's logo on it that we haven't seen previously. It looks like it says Shatero with a large 74 next to it. There are lots of in-game sponsors still to be properly revealed for the game, as currently we've only seen the Season 0 sponsors, Ospoos and Iseult. This shot is one that looks like it was in the alpha trailer but probably added to make us aware that the original Old Town Monaco map will be part of the beta and remind us of the types of map destruction. Still on the same map though, we see several shots of most of a building being brought down by a rocket launcher, which, like the Seoul Sky Bridge, looks like a ramp up in destruction levels. This zipline shot was also in the original alpha trailer, but then we get the Iseult logo superimposed on it, quickly followed by a single frame of octopus legs wrapped around what looks like the Yoki contents of an Ospoos produce can. Maybe the octopus is another nod to the James Bond movie Octopussy, as we've seen other James Bond references previously in the teasers and trailers, or perhaps it refers to a map with a massive aquarium in it, who knows. A real jumble of frames here from the alpha trailer footage and brief snaps of that octopus with the drink now having its can forming around it. If you haven't seen my breakdown of that alpha trailer, it is linked above here, so I won't repeat all the observations from that. A single frame showing meteor showers, which were an in-game destruction event in the closed alpha, back and forth between the closed alpha trailer snippets and the octopus with its growing Ospoos produce can. Now we have one of the first Easter eggs in the trailer, a fragmentary image of the Ospoos mascot Namatama sitting in an arid desert environment. Namatama has played a key role in some of the pre-release Easter egg puzzles that have been presented to the Finals Discord community to solve while we've been patiently waiting for the beta playtest. Anyhow, members of the community have already caught all of the fragments of this image from the trailer and stitched them together into this image of a Namatama wearing Ray-Ban looking sunglasses and sitting in an arid environment. The location could be somewhere like the Western US, but equally it could be a reference to the environment for Embark's other game, Ark Raiders, which is also due for release this year. I guess time will tell which it is. Here we have distorted and layered nighttime shots of the Seoul map, which flip sideways between the frames before we see a proper shot of the scene. There is a lot shown in this shot, and it really introduces the Seoul map for the finals to us at the end of what is the intro section of the trailer. My first observation of this shot is just how fantastic the lighting of this map is at night. We can also see the towers that mark the arena boundary, which would make the map huge, so I suspect that the actual map boundary may be more likely the better lit areas here. Even so, this is still going to be a substantial map, given that most of it will be destructible. From this view, we can also see a bunch of fixed zip lines, elevators, ramps between buildings, the sky bridge that got demoed earlier, a crane with a wrecking ball like the one that was in the closed alpha, and the cars on the street below are even moving. Note the suspended giant rubber duck here. In the closed alpha there was a mode where this had destroyed the large cathedral in Old Town Monaco, so maybe this skyscraper is at risk here. There's also the underside of what looks like an enormous Namatama plushie here. What role he plays is anyone's guess. The octopus also appears again here and here, as do the arms of a large jellyfish, which we saw as an Easter egg in the alpha trailer. Now those jellyfish were what I thought was a reference to a scene in Shanghai from the James Bond movie Skyfall, so maybe we don't get a Shanghai map, just a nod to that movie in this skyscraper map instead. The Korean signs on the map were translated by one of the Finals Discord members named Fish. This one refers to 6 degrees of freedom, which refers to the 6 mechanical degrees of freedom of movement of a rigid body in three-dimensional space. This can also apply to FPS games where leaning is allowed, which could be a hint to us that character leaning might be introduced for the Finals closed beta. This sign apparently reads Yoon Byom-seok's building, which may be a nod to a Korean movie art director with the same name. Then we switch to a daytime view of the map, but with a beautiful heavy fog blanketing the city. The giant rubber duck and plushy Namatama have moved as well. This view seems to define what is likely the map's extent a bit better. Maybe these flags here mark the map boundary more closely than the arena towers do. Interestingly, we then get a less foggy daytime view of the map, but it has been altered a bit with this skyscraper becoming only partly developed with a crane mounted on it. What could this mean? Well, one option is that we will have more than one mode to play on the map, and so the map has two setups, each catering to the particular mode. We see another name here, Tristan, possibly a sponsor or possibly just a building label. I'm curious to see how many seasons it's going to take for all the sponsors that we've seen so far to be officially launched though. We then see the original version again with the same weather conditions, and here are the two images flipped back and forth for you so you can see the building changes more easily. Now we see an interesting display of light showing on the buildings, and I suspect this might be how the game shows us where the vaults with their cash boxes are located. Previously, this was done fairly simply as part of the user interface, but if this is a more visual way to show where the vaults are, I really like the more artistic approach to it. We zoom into the location with the flickering light where we can see zip lines and the crane and wrecking ball more clearly. Here we see a view of an interior area, and this is really the start of the main action sequence in the trailer. Part of that Namatama desert scene is shown on the left here. Namatama then disappears to reveal another hospital gurney on the left, so we know that we're in one of the hospital wards. The lighting again here looks excellent. A vault then appears with its locked-in cash box, and we can see how that strange lighting illuminates the area as a possible tell to players about the vault's location. We get a flash of the now familiar Ospuz logo, then another yet-to-be-confirmed sponsor, Volp. Now we have a team entering into the map in the Skybridge location the way they do at the start of the game. Great orange and camo cosmetics here. The player on the left appears to carry a sawed-off double-barrel shotgun. The player at the rear carries a slick-looking black and yellow AK with a charm mount ready to be adorned. Another flash of a couple of as-yet unnamed sponsors' logos. Then a second team enters the arena with a new sponsor's logo, DXZ or Z, depending on your preference. The portable riot shield is a new item that we didn't see in the alpha, so maybe that's a variation on the original medium build shed. The grenade launcher looks like it might have been reworked from the alpha as well. And how about these LED goggles and visor? Fantastic detailing, just primo. Now we have a player setting up a couple of fixed shields on an interior bridge to protect themselves while they wait for the vault to unlock. Possibly the same player then sets up a gun turret mounted to the ceiling, and I wonder if these fire sprinklers can be activated. How crazy would that be? We then see the gun turret start to scan for enemies in front of the shields. A great close-up of the character's face here. How about the detail in that eye? It actually looks like the reflection of some sort of outdoor scene. A single frame of the pug that I think has appeared in every trailer so far. I'd actually like to know what their name is. Bit of a chaotic section in the trailer here, but we do see a heavy build character using their charge ability to smash through some chairs. Then we have the players behind the shields and ceiling turret being charged on by the other team, with our character firing a beautifully detailed lever action shotgun that we haven't seen before. Back to a view from behind the shields here, and the character on the left appears to be wielding an M1216 semi-automatic shotgun, which is also a new weapon. Over to the opponent's view behind the riot shield, which also seems to have a charm mount ready to have your favourite dangly thing added to it. The vault unlock timer then finishes and the cash box jumps free. We can see that the cash box has a kind of phosphorescent blue trail that follows it, making it easier to locate. The heavy build then launches into the air with an updated version of the ground slam ability that they had in the alpha, which was pretty ineffective at the time. However, this time it's capable of bringing down the internal bridge. As that happens, we move to a lower floor view where we can see the bridge falling to the ground with the heavy build character on top of it as our player wields the sawed-off double-barrel shotgun. Just fantastic destruction here. This is why I've been looking forward to this game for so long. The characters then escape with the cash box and start to cross the sky bridge, and we already know what's going to happen here. As the bridge comes under fire, one of the team sets up a jump pad and the character with the cash box launches off it through the glass roof just in time as the bridge collapses away from them. The character standing on the roof of the sky bridge isn't going to make it, but our consolation is we do get another look at that sublime lever action shotty again. You can also see the trails from the cash box here, showing that the character that hit the jump pad has been propelled towards the roof. And here's their view of the escape, turning to watch their teammate ride the sky bridge to the streets below. On the rooftop, another team enters the arena, the first character carrying a taser in their hand and adorned with a plushy Namatama on their hip. The cash box carrying opponent gets tasered and stabbed from behind at the same time, turning them to coins and allowing the other team to run off with the cash box. They make their way to the base of the tower crane and then use their own grappling hooks to propel up to the crane's boom arm. We see the giant rubber duck from below, as well as the inflatable flamingos that will be familiar to those who played the closed alpha. Note the silver skeleton gloves on our character's hands here, which we've also seen in the alpha. Atop the crane, our character wields a suppressed pistol as they come under fire from multiple opponents below as their teammate runs beneath them. The crane appears to be undamaged from a direct rocket hit, so maybe it's not a destructible feature on the map. We then get a very cinematic view of the two players running along the crane, a shot that is potentially a nod to this opening scene from the James Bond movie Casino Royale. The two characters then use their grappling hooks to fly from the crane across the rooftops, with the cash box carrying one falling into an internal courtyard of a neighbouring building as they take fire from all sides. The character at the bottom of the courtyard attached two breaching charges to a rubbish bin, which they then throw up in the air, blowing apart the balcony bridge and the upper floors. The ensuing destruction sees the lower level bridge fall down, but the cash box carrying player appears to escape and slides beneath a health ray that is being administered to another player. Sliding seems to have received a significant buff compared to the alpha, which I think is a good thing. The cash box is then thrown to their teammate on the level above, and they make their way past a collection of art. They jump onto a zip line, past falling glass, only to be booked by a sniper rifle from below. Cool mask. The cash box falls to the floor and we see yet another partial frame of that Namatama desert image. We then have a couple of previous destruction shots quickly re-shown before we get a view of a flamethrower laying waste to some poor player. A jumble of shots here, including another close-up of that cool LED mask. Then at exactly 1 minute and 18 seconds into the trailer, we get the series of images that were released by the Embark art team as part of the Tier 1D of Level 2 of the pre-release Easter eggs, which by the way we have just solved in the past few days. Now why is 1 minute and 18 seconds interesting for these images, you might ask? Well, there are 118 known elements, and the previous Easter egg tier answer revolved around the element Mendelevium. I think it's a clever nod to the Easter egg hunters in the finals Discord community from the developers, and I'll be creating another video about the Easter egg hunt very soon. The action then jumps to massive destruction of an internal atrium area, and we see a player taken out by LED mask dude just before they reach the cash box lying on the floor. Things get pretty chaotic here, but this is really a chance for the Embark team to show off the map destruction more than anything. This fallen balcony and a player fighting from a fallen beam show just how much destruction will play a significant role in the finals. We also get a great look at the flamethrower in daylight here. Spent shells get ejected from a double-barrel shotgun here as massive beams come crashing down from above. Meanwhile, these two players are riding the working escalator to the upper level of the atrium. We then get an elevated view of the atrium from a player wielding a Western-themed Mac-10 machine pistol, which includes a horseshoe. Breaching charges are set off from another position, bringing more of the building down. Amongst the chaos, a player pulls the cash box from the floor and is finally able to insert it into the station, taking their team on the road to a score and marking the end of the action sequence part of the trailer. We then get a shot of Namatama with a crown before he's scrambled out of the way by the finals logo. A collection of showcase shots follows, demonstrating a player shooting the glass below them and falling down an elevator shaft to escape. Another player appears to throw the cash box into what might be some sort of ventilation duct for it to appear in another part of the building where the flamethrower is busy setting fire to everything. Fire seems to be a much more important element for the game leading into the closed beta than the minimal role it had in the closed alpha. Here we see a long-distance sniper shot being taken by a player with a rifle with a recycled cardboard skin, which looks mint, I love it. Maybe not so good in the rain though, eh? Then how great do these explosions look in this nighttime shot? Stunning stuff. More flamethrower destruction, and we see fire starting to burn the building on the right, so it'll be interesting to see if fire can actually propagate. We also see a fixed barrier in the street raised here as a defensive measure. A player then picks up a table and starts to throw it. This wasn't possible in the alpha, so I'm delighted that we can throw these loose objects around like that. We then get the start of the phrase, "Can you reach the finals?" appearing just like we had in the alpha trailer. More stuff getting set on fire and a player about to throw an incendiary grenade. Then something I didn't expect, which is a night vision goggle shot. Full night mode will be a really interesting way to play this game. Also, watch the Namatama charm on the side of the MAC-10 machine pistol. It's actually animated. Hilarious. Another shield of some kind in use here. The medium build shield was a bit OP in the alpha, so I'm curious to see how the Embark Studios team have worked on that for the finals beta. A cool little garden courtyard area shown here. It looks like the Seoul map has a very good variety of areas. Goo is being used as a defensive weapon here. Now, we haven't seen much of it in this trailer, but it played an important role in defense in the alpha. Another little glimpse of the plushy Namatama who gets tossed into the air and then right royally punted downfield. Poor little fella. Then the trailer wraps up with the finals logo and the info that the closed beta starts on March 7th. I'm sure we'll get more specific details about start times for the closed beta and so on soon. So that was what I would consider a brilliant trailer. It's packed with gameplay demonstrating so many great elements of the game that we have to look forward to for the beta, including what is clearly a serious buff and destruction and possibly the role of fire as well, in what looks like an amazing map set in Seoul, Korea. Now, once the closed beta starts, I will provide you with a detailed review of the game, just like I did for the closed alpha, but this time with accompanying game footage, along with plenty of fun gameplay videos and so on. If that sounds good to you, hit that subscribe button now, and if you found this video helpful, please smash that like button. Thanks for watching, enjoy the rest of your day, kia kaha, stay strong.
Everybody knows the world ain't right. Down on your knees, get up and fight.